think the project came together initially through, I think, Eric Feig and Stokely Chaffin.
It started with me actually in the 5th grade when I was in, I think Mrs. Lamont was our librarian, and she found this book by Lois Duncan called I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I read it and thought I'd read Howard's End, you know? I mean, this, you know, it's all about the secrets that can kill.
Just reading from the back of it, I love the idea that these kids had graduated high school and were going on to college. That's a moment in time in general that every kid can relate to.
So Eric took the book to Mandalay, to Jason Blumenthal, I believe, there.
I thought, my God, that would be a great idea for a movie.
And Eric came home and he was like, so I pitched your book today. And it was kind of like, well, that's great. And he was like, but they like it.
And they came at me basically saying, you know, we love what you did with the Scream script. What do you think about this?
He brought out very strongly the kind of moral beginning, this twist of fate at the beginning that really sets the whole movie up and makes it stand apart from most other teen genre movies.
See it. Look, I swear.
Once these kids do the wrong thing, they're outside the system.
I think he's dead. Shit!
They don't have the umbrella of civilization and society to help them. They can't call a cop and say, I'm being chased by some crazy killer because we left someone for dead on the side of a road and then dumped him in the ocean.
We've got to call the police and get an ambulance out here.
Hey, what's your hurry? Guy's dead.
You're not a doctor. You don't make that decision.
Use your brain, Julie. We call the police and we're fucked.
The key element in the whole casting process was finding actors who also look good because it is a movie and we have attractive people in our film, but they had to be great actors.
And it was very exciting because there was a whole batch of brand new teen actors who were coming onto the scene.
You had to find people who were popular because they were beautiful, but they were likable.
The first piece of casting we had was Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Guys, hi. I'm on sexist overload as it is. Kill the commentary.
She projects this sort of innocence and vulnerability that we really needed for that character.
I had always thought that she had a special talent.
When I wrote the character and then someone said, what about Jennifer Love Hewitt? I went, yes, without a doubt. She is the one.
This movie was such a huge opportunity for me. I'd never been able to, you know, be the lead in a film before. And the only thing that kind of people even really knew me from was Party of Five.
Who sent this?
They originally sent it to me for Sarah's character, which was interesting, which I liked. But as soon as I read Julie, I was like, and it had nothing, I swear, to do with like it being the lead character in the movie or anything, which people still to this day think. It had nothing to do with that. I honestly just liked Julie better and felt like I kind of identified with her better.
Don't you see? He's got us now. Okay, this is exactly what he wants. We can't go to the police, not now. He's made sure of that.
She read the "What are you waiting for" scene.
What are you waiting for, huh?
At the end of her reading, she also broke character and she laughed and she smiled and she looked right at camera and she said, I love doing that.
And if I was gonna be in a horror movie, I wanted to get to play the part that won. You know, I really, because that way I didn't have to be afraid because I knew that I was gonna get to kick some butt in the end and not have to die. And I promised my grandma I'd never die in a movie.
And it was really that smile and that giggle and that breaking a character that was so unbelievably endearing.
They really took a chance on me, and because of this movie, you know, the rest of my life has kind of gone the way that it has.
Did you guys break up?
Hey! What are you two doing here?
I loved Ryan. I thought he had just a natural thing.
Hi there.
I wanted him to play a part that is not really him. Ryan isn't a jock. He's physically not that. He has a great physique, but he's not 6'2". He's not a quarterback. He doesn't have that feel.
Ryan pulled it off in his performance.
You shut the hell up!
He played the imposing, you know, disgruntled, angry young guy so well.
We didn't murder anyone.
He was still alive when we dumped him in the water. Do we have to rehash this? It was an accident. The guy was in the middle of the road.
Ryan had to almost overcompensate in terms of his aggressiveness to be a domineering force against a bigger guy.
You're gonna die.
Hey! Stop it!
are you doing?
Stop it!
I didn't do
Stop!
anything.
And then I wanted Freddie Prinze to be Ray. For Freddie, who is much more like Ray in reality. He's like a kind of everyman.
Look, he's after me too. I got a letter.
It's incredibly difficult to walk the tightrope between sort of thriller and comedy.
Oh, you got a letter. I got run over. Helen gets her hair chopped off. Julie gets a body in a trunk, and you get a letter? That's balanced.
What body?
Kevin is a kind of, he's a funny guy. He writes scenes that are based in reality, but people always joke with each other in any circumstance.
That's the balance between horror and humor. You really have to, you really have to sort of pick your moments.
It was down to the wire when we finally found Sarah Michelle Gellar, who, of course, was on Buffy, but Buffy was not very big at the time.
I wanted an actress that had a certain warmth within her, but could come off as being a bitch. When I saw her on camera, I thought, but she's it. She's absolutely it.
I'm breaking and entering to our crime spree.
Can I help you?
One of the important things about casting the Missy part was that whoever the actor was who played that,
Hi. Our car stalled down the road and...
it was such a pivotal role, and she had to make it interesting and quirky.
Phone's over there.
It was very important to cast someone who would have such a presence in her two scenes that it would stumble the audience in terms of unfolding the story.
My name is Missy Egan. Are you girls from Maribel?
Oh, Southport.
Oh, I went to Southport High.
Yeah, I knew you looked familiar.
When we tested the film, she brought so much to that role that I had people believe that she was going to be the fisherman. And I was going, how could they possibly think that?
Did you have a brother or something?
I did, but he
But people believed that there was a potential there because of all the undercurrent that she brought to it.
He's dead. He died last July.
She's one of these actors that has real screen presence.
And I said, what do I do? And he said, well, you have to scare the pants off him.
Hey!
You forgot your cigarettes.
I said, oh, fabulous, I'm there. Sure, 2 days of work, scaring some chicks. I love it.
And as soon as you put a camera on her, she's just really interesting and brings the best out of actors round about her.
Well, so you got this car started, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm just thinking it started right up.
Funny how that happened.
I mean, kids in malls saw me after that and were like, oh my God, I love you. And that was that's a funny reaction to get from kids after you've been, scaring them in the theaters. And that's due to Kevin and his writing.
But this was one of those screenplays where you started at the beginning and you just kept telling it. It was a really great read. And so I was hooked. And I thought, you know what, this is really cool. It's not a slasher horror movie. It's just a really good story.
So the boy and girl are making out, right? When they hear over the radio that this...
The opening scene was just beautiful, I thought, with the fire burning, the way that he put the boat in the scene.
I think it's a beautiful setting and completely puts in context the spooky urban tale.
I treated the entire story as a new urban legend.
No. That's not the way it goes. Okay, the boy goes for help, and the girl stays in the car, and she hears this, like, scratching sound.
It's not a scratching sound. It's a drip. Drip. Drip.
What I thought was so fun in that opening scene is someone is telling the Hook story. They immediately start fighting. No, that's not how it goes. It goes this way. No, it goes this way. No, it goes this way.
No, he's been decapitated, and it's the blood from his severed neck that's dripping on the car, and it's going drip, drip, drip. No, he wasn't decapitated. He was gutted with a hook.
For you to tell the scary story around the campfire, you have to tell in the right way. Everyone knows what's going to happen.
But a different way. And so basically what I was doing is setting the framework to say, all right, audience, that's that legend. Now here's a new one.
That's the original story. That's the way it really happened.
Hey, none of it really happened.
The joy of this film for me as a filmmaker was in taking elements that we've seen before and saying to the audience, here's something you've seen before, knowing that they're saying, I've seen this before, and still getting them to jump out the seat.
If we didn't, if we said, okay, let's not do that, you would be disappointed.
And the trick is, give it to them, but then time it so that they still get the thrill and don't become disappointed. And I think we pull that off.
Who is the right kind of director for this project, and how do you find that right kind of guy?
I was familiar with Jim. We had a relationship.
Jim walks in the room and you're like, you want to like what he says because he's just the most handsome man in America. Or in Scotland too, I assume.
The director, Jim.
And then he opens his mouth and this, you know, this sound comes out that you're just like, we have no idea what he said.
When his name came up, before I know what he did last summer, I was just smiling.
Through the course of the meeting, when you start to, you know, begin to understand him, we realized he was saying all the right things.
You might even start to go, and almost like doing it. You check his pulse, you know? What they wanted to do with the film was exactly what I wanted to do, which was not just to make a genre movie, but to have a moral undercurrent to the movie, which is, you know, it's where it begins, it's what makes it interesting. It's crime and punishment, essentially. It was almost like, you know, that should be like, this is obvious, you know, but you're sober.
Okay. Somehow he got small town America better than anybody that we'd talked to.
He wowed them. They all wanted him, and I was just sitting back going, done deal. You know, I just knew it was going to happen.
Probably, and I truly mean this, probably still to this day my favorite director I've ever worked with.
Cut!
Although it's a horror movie and there's the silly aspects of, you know, kind of horror movies, which is, you know, it's a fisherman kind of chasing us around with a that's Hook, by the way. This is Hook.
Yes, it is a teen slasher movie, and it's fun, and it's exciting, and it's bubblegum and popcorn and all that. And at the same time, there are cool, meaty things that are going on beneath the surface.
Clearly you have a story about good and evil and characters who are operating on the verge of that, what is right and wrong. And so contrast becomes really important in the film. When we previewed the film, it became apparent that what would be a huge benefit to the film was if we saw him do something violent once, earlier in the film. And so Kevin and I put our heads together and rewrote a sequence that would be Johnny Galecki being killed by the fisherman, and we reshot that at the end of the movie. What that did was buy us another hour in the movie.
You didn't quite believe this guy could really do anything bad, so we did add the kill of Johnny Galecki, where he's steaming the crabs, I think, and he's hooked right about here and dragged over the boiling pot.
It was such a shock because the movie hadn't really shown any explicit violence, really, up until that point, that you suddenly thought this guy is seriously bad. He will do something evil. The one shot of the hook in his chin, it's just such a shocking image. Initially, I refused to shoot virtually any blood at all.
Jim had made a stand that he's not going to show any excessive blood.
There were moments when executives wanted us to shoot more of the gore.
The special makeup said, for a horror movie, I've gone through the least amount of blood I've ever done in anything I've done before.
When Bridget Wilson is killed in the movie, I had shot that scene without any blood whatsoever. And the scene worked fine, as far as I was concerned.
Medically, it's impossible for there not to be blood if someone took a hook and sliced across someone's neck.
So we compromised whereby I reshot the one shot from behind Bridget, from outside the door, where the fisherman slashes his hook across her throat and there's a spray of blood. I was quite happy to do that, and it made the scene more powerful. The scene I think is probably the most effective scene or sequence in the film is literally from when Sarah's in the police car right through to the point of her death.
I'm a big horror buff. I love horror movies of all kinds. So I love chasing. I think that thrills are great, and suspense and tension, but I want to see somebody chase somebody else. I don't care about the killing so much as the chasing. Jim, I think, used it very wisely. The scene where Sarah Michelle Gellar is chased in her prom dress at the end of the movie, and the whole sequence in the department store.
The actual store, I fell in love with when we went to the town.
And he walked in there and went, aha.
Let's construct the whole chase scene to be in this location.
Poor Sarah was running her heart out. She was an amazing, amazing trooper through that whole scene.
Had a hand-drawn elevator that was completely original, had been there for 80 years.
He came to me and said, we found this elevator. It's an old-timey one. It's a cranker, you know, and it's got a turn wheel, and he goes, it's just amazing. He basically told me what he wanted, and I sat down and typed it out.
And so everything that's in that scene was essentially made up.
Jim gave it life in a way that we had never imagined.
That alleyway we use about 4 times and redress so that she runs and turns a corner, and then everything is changed and redressed to be another section of the same space. And so where Sarah starts when the policeman is killed, that's exactly the same space that she runs through with the buses and the trucks that leads to an alleyway that leads out into where the crowd are passing.
And he extended it to such a length to the point where you almost think, well, she's gonna live. She's going too far now. To kill her now would just be like, it's just, you can't do that to this poor girl. She's going through too much. And then you kill her.
A kind of key scene for the mood of the piece is the visit that Julie and Helen make to Missy's house, the Anne Hesh character.
Jodie Foster tried this, and a skin-ripping serial killer answered the door.
There wasn't a whole, like, searching through the script to find the nuance. It was, let's be creepy.
You really have to credit Jim for seeing the big picture of it all, because I swear when those dailies came back, and it was like Anne she was wearing this sort of smocky apron thing.
Missy? Missy, do you remember me from the other day? You know, the car trouble?
What are you doing here?
It's like a crazy, beautiful, but quirky, like deeply odd person who's like out there chopping up birds. You're like, what job is this? What is this woman doing?
I need to find your brother's friend, Billy Blue. I need to talk to him. And I was thinking maybe you could look through this yearbook. What's this all about? Well, it's too crazy to explain, but it has to do with your brother and last July 4th. What about it? What happened to your brother wasn't an accident. There's more to it than that.
I know.
You know what?
Well, he killed himself.
The fish, the knives, the backyard. You know, I imagine that Jim is the guy who said, let's not do it in the house, let's do it out back. Ooh, what should she be doing? Maybe we had a conversation. What do you feel about fish?
At some point, I thought Jim had gone off the rails, and I was just like, this scene's never gonna work. It's crazy. What's it doing in the movie?
I had to keep this hidden from the insurance company because they wouldn't pay me the money, you know, if it was suicide.
And it's now one of my favorite sequences.
Yeah, that don't much matter anymore because money's been spent. That's it.
This isn't a suicide note. This is a death threat.
She's excellent in the role. You know, she really does embrace everything that was on the page and then some. I mean, you know, it was just 2 scenes, and she's very memorable in
What do
it.
you mean you saw him? Where? Where did you see him?
He was crossing the road. We hit him. It was an accident.
No. My brother drowned.
I saw him. He had Susie tattooed on his arm.
Tattoo? He doesn't have a tattoo on his arm.
I saw it on his
You
right
didn't see
forearm.
anything. Get out of here. Get out of my house.
When I arrived on the set, Jennifer and Sarah were so enthusiastic and so thrilled about what they were doing. And I think that's really neat. I think that shows.
She was like this little wood nymph running around all day. I just thought she was great. She was fun.
Ray! Ray! Ray!
Julie, what are you doing here?
We didn't kill David Egan. It was someone else on the road that night.
What are you talking about?
I think it was Susie's father, Ben Willis. He's a fisherman.
There's a scene where
David's body in the
Love Hewitt runs to the boat to confront Ray. And she's on the dock, and he's on the boat.
Yeah, but what if he didn't die, Ray? What if he's still alive?
It's a fairly short scene. It's a comparatively simple thing to shoot. Well, that's fine if you don't have a tide. And of course, none of us really thought about it, that you have a boat here, which is on the tide, and you have Love here, and so you start to shoot the scene, and she's down here and he's up there, and as the scene progresses, the tide goes, and by the end of the scene, he's like 8 feet different in height from where we began, and we couldn't complete the scene. We had to come back the following night when the tide was the same, and of course everyone's going, why didn't you complete the scene? I said, well, there's nothing we could do.
Oh my God, it's you.
What are you talking about?
Billy Blue, you went to Missy's. You're the friend, you're the fisherman.
I can explain. Julie, wait. Julie?
Oh, shit.
Frank!
The biggest problem I had in the entire film was filming in and around the sea. We were filming on the Cape Fear River, and our nautical expert was fond of saying they don't call it the Cape Fear for nothing.
Never, never, never shoot on water.
This elemental force is uncontrollable.
It was terrible. The whole boat sequence was awful.
And if it decides to turn, the tide, whip up, whatever, nothing you can do.
And it was Cape Fear, no less, which is called that for a reason. It's truly, I mean, it's a violent river or lake or whatever the hell it is.
And the first night that we've shot in the boat, we nearly lost the boat, just trying to tie it up to our dock. And we had to give up and go and film something else at the last minute.
As much as I know about boats, I don't know as much as my dad. And so I remember going home, and my dad walked me around his boat. And so my dad took me out and said, well, here's how it happens. And he showed me how the winch worked, how the cables would snap, and how it could go so fast and so lightning quick, you would sever a limb. And of course, when we went to go film it, you know, Jim, in his brilliance, said, well, we're gonna make it as visual as possible.
Happy 4th of July, Julie.
Please, it was an accident.
I know all about accidents. And let me give you some advice. When you leave a man for dead, make sure he's really dead.
So they had him drugged up all the way up to the top of the A-frame, and then the cable snapped, and he lost it at the top, and it went flying off into the water. And of course, you know, the first call I got was from my dad. That's not the way it would happen, Kevin. I had a great introduction to filmmaking. You know, I kind of broke on and I latched on to a great moment, because the timing was everything with my career in that regard. And so I still pinch myself.
I do believe that we were all just really in the right place at the right time, and had some good instincts, and then the others were just sort of like found luck in some places.
Everything that could go right in this movie did go right. I mean, and even in hindsight, the things that were difficult about it ended up being the best things about it.
It really hit the mark, I think, for everybody. This was a genre picture. They were trying to target an audience. They wanted to do it with the best cast, the funnest cast, the freshest cast.
It was my first kind of big thing, and I'll always remember it really fondly, and it was great, so I was really proud.
I Know What You Did Last Summer will be around in people's memories because it wasn't just a teen slasher flick. I had something else there, and I think that's why it was a success.